Welcome back to Voices in Mystery. I'm your host, Nancy Carlson. Our next guest has been on the show several times before, and no, she's not a mystery writer. She's a toxicologist. It's Lucy Zahray. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Lucy is here to talk about poisons, death, and how to kill people. Well, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but she is actually a pharmacist in Waco, Texas. But boy, does she help a lot of mystery writers kill some people off. So tell me how you got connected at all in this mystery business.
Well, you know, it's kind of a funny thing. When I graduated, when I was going to undergraduate school, which was in the middle 70s, I wanted to study genetics. And my parents said, "Oh, no one's ever heard of genetics. You'll never be able to get a job." And so they wanted me to go to pharmacy school. And as it happened, I was the youngest person in my pharmacy class. And when I graduated, I was only 21, and I wasn't quite ready to be an adult yet. So I thought it was a little too late to go back to studying genetics, and I decided that medicine wasn't really for me. And so I had taken a toxicology class as a pharmacy student and went to graduate school in toxicology and loved it, had the most fun. And then after that, I ended up moving to Michigan after a few years, and I was the Texas girl that had never seen snow that covered the dead grass. So I was so tired of Michigan in the snow and everything else. I was looking for some way to get out of town, and the very first Malice Domestic was coming around, and I said to my new friends, "Let's go to Malice and see what's going on." And I wrote them, as you normally do, and say, "What can I do to help?" And they were like, So I did dogs and mysteries and lawyers and mysteries. After a while, I said, I could tell you how to kill people. And they said, "Oh, no one would ever want to hear about that." Well, it actually turned out that a lot of people wanted to hear about that. And it became one of their most popular panels. And after I got down from the very first time, I've never been not booked up.
Now, Malice Domestic, to our viewers, is a mystery convention of mystery writers and fans of cozy mysteries. Would you say that?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the definition of a cozy?
Not too much blood and guts on the stage, not too much graphic sex, but an amateur sleuth who solves a mystery.
And we still have dead bodies.
Yes,
right?
We still have dead bodies.
They've got to die somehow.
That's right.
So strychnine, what do we use? Arsenic? Tell us about some of the poisons. A good way to kill somebody.
Well, poisoning is actually a lot easier than most people think. The literature suggests that probably 95% of all poisonings are never detected because they're never suspected. So they're actually out there quite easily to be found. I find them in the grocery store, in the plant nursery, in the pet store, almost everywhere, in the antique stores and in garage sales, almost everywhere I go. And people think these poisons are really hard to come by. But when I want arsenic, which is the king of all poisons, the traditional murder mystery poison, right up there with cyanide, when I need some more arsenic, I go to Walmart because that's where I can buy it.
What?
Yes. It's an ant poison, so you just go to the garden section, and about this time of the year, it's usually on sale. In fact, I went to Walmart, and it was marked down to $1.25, and that would be enough to kill about 20 people.
Really?
I'm thinking, I'm putting it in my basket, and after a moment, I think to myself, "You silly person, put that back. You have enough arsenic."
So do mystery writers call you and say, "Lucy, I have a bad guy in my novel that needs to die, and I want something original. What do you got lately? What's hot and what's not in killing people by poisons?"
What they usually do is they call me up and they say, "I have a mystery and it's set in 1890, for example, and I need the poison to be something that was used to doctor a horse race. And then I need to know the chemistry of that poison." So I go back to my old reference books and I look up what was available to doctor a horse race in 1890, and it would have been morphine, strychnine, or cocaine. And then I give the author the options and tell them what the symptoms would be, and they pick the one they want. And then I go back to the reference books and look at the chemistry, how it would have been detected, how it would have been tested for, and I can give that to the author, and along with the mythology of it or the nicknames, for example. And so they can just use as much or as little of that in their book. Or sometimes they'll call me up and they'll say, "I need my victim to die in 3 minutes, 3 hours, or 3 days, or 3 years. And so what do you have that'll fit this pattern that I need?" And so I'll give them some options, and then they'll pick what they want, and then I'll go into a lot of detail for them to tell them, you know, as much trivia as they need, because I can give them a lot more information than they can possibly fit into their book.
Or to make their readers understand, because you could get pretty scientific, I would think.
You could, and sometimes they want that, and sometimes they don't. And it's really funny because I collect old poisons, and so occasionally an author will write me and I will say, oh, I have just the thing for you. And I actually have the bottle in my collection. Let me take you a picture of this. And several of my bottles have then appeared in different mysteries. And one of them was even a Dr. Zahray's tonic, where the woman really needed a Viagra of her day, and she needed it to be pre-Viagra so we could use the alcohol and the strychnine. And I had the bottle in my collection, and all of the literature that went with it, you know, married a younger woman, let us help you.
So in the late 1800s, there were medicine shows where people went around and made great claims about certain things that would cure your stomach problems or whatever. Were any of those ever poisons?
All of them were poisons, just about. They were either nothing, like the snake oil ones, or they were concoctions of herbs, or strychnine, or arsenic. In fact, the geritol of its day, that wasn't really outlawed until the middle 60s, was a combination of arsenic, strychnine, and iron tablets. And they made them chocolate.
Geritol?
That was basically the vitamin of its day. They put it on the table, and everybody took one in the morning because it was thought that it built up your blood and it gave you stamina, made your complexion pretty, which was part of the arsenic, and made your hair shine, and thought it would improve your breathing, your exercise tolerance. So really it was the vitamin, the geritol of its day. It sat on everybody's table, and they came chocolate coated so that they would be palatable for the women and children. And they're quite funny bottles when you find them. And you can still find them full of tablets. And they look like little sort of small M&Ms.
Does anybody ever think what you do is creepy?
A lot of people think what I do is creepy. A few of them think, do we really want to have dinner at her house tonight? So it can be a reaction, and then you explain to them what you do and how you try and make it interesting for the reader and interesting for the writer, and historically accurate, or even accurate in the modern day, because we certainly see in the literature where arsenic is still being used as a poison. And I try and talk a little bit, I almost always end one of my lectures with the evils of acetaminophen, because I think acetaminophen is the most dangerous poison in anybody's home. It might not be the most toxic thing. The bottled bleach or the antifreeze might be more toxic, but dangerous is acetaminophen because it has a widespread perception of safety, and it's not. I work in a relatively small hospital, 250 beds, in a relatively small town, Waco, Texas, and we see probably one acetaminophen overdose a week and probably 6 to 8 deaths a year. And they're not all intentional. A great number of them are accidental because it has such a perception of safety, and it's a hidden ingredient in so many products. It's very easy for people to accidentally overdose. And everybody in my hospital knows who I am and what I do, so I get the phone calls from the ER that says, you know, she's just taking her bottle of cat tranquilizers. Is this going to be a problem? And I've had that phone call.
Lucy, it's so fun to talk to you. Thank you so much. We've been visiting with Lucy Zahray, a toxicologist, a pharmacist from a hospital in Waco, Texas, but most importantly, a poisons friend to mystery writers everywhere. So thanks for being on the show, and come back often.
Thank you very much.